After working with thousands of people with dementia and the families who love them, I've noticed something strange. The most hardworking and dedicated of caregivers are often the ones struggling with communication with their person with dementia. And it's not because you're using the wrong words, it's because you're talking to the part of the brain that's not fully online. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to speak to your person with dementia to make conversations easier and ensure that they don't escalate. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Dr. Sinclair. I'm a neuropsychologist, dementia care specialist, and founder of the Confident Caregiver Academy. Let's jump on in. Before we jump to what to do, care partners, you have to understand why you're doing it. Think of dementia communication like speaking through a faulty walkie-talkie. Your words may be clear on your end, but they arrive distorted on the other side. Why communication gets distorted? Dementia doesn't just affect memory, which is what a lot of people believe. Dementia also changes the way language is processed altogether. Words are harder to understand, and the meaning often gets lost, so they're not really following and comprehending what you're saying. Your tone of voice may even get misread to the dementia-affected brain, meaning something you say completely innocently now feels confusing, frustrating, or threatening to them. And here's what no one tells caregivers. You did not suddenly lose your communication skills. You did not suddenly become a poor communicator. What's happening here is that their brain is changing, which means that the rules around communication has now changed, and you need to learn that new language. Because when they can't follow you, when they don't understand, they get more confused, and that increase in confusion or increase in overwhelm leads them to lashing out, leads them to feeling anxious, leads them to withdrawing and pulling away from you. So if you don't know how to speak to your person with dementia, it does have the potential to ruin your relationship. What actually works? The 4 R's of dementia communication. After working with so many families, I needed to give them something tangible that they could use in the moment. Not scripts, not perfect phrasing, but a sequence that they can use whenever there's a disagreement with their person with dementia. So enter recognize, reflect, reassure, redirect. This framework works because it taps into the order the dementia brain needs and not the order that we're used to. R number 1, recognize the emotion, not the facts. Recognition means pausing long enough to ask, what are they feeling right now? I know everything seems like they're angry, but sometimes it's fear and sadness and grief and confusion. So you're not trying to fix yet. You are not trying to problem solve yet. You are just exploring what is the potential emotion that's driving their behavior. And here's an example of what that could look like in real life, care partners. I just started working with a new client, and she is trying to get her father to move to her home state so that she can help her father. He has dementia. He has a series of other health factors that's causing him to have falls and lots of accidents in the house. So she wants him to move closer so that she can help, right? She has well intentions, but she goes into the discussions with her dad around her agenda. Her agenda, although it's well-meaning and well-intended, is still, I need to get dad out here. I need to have him agree to move out here. And dad's agenda is, I need to stay put. I love where I'm at. I need to stay put. And so what often happens on these phone calls with her dad is that she's pushing for her agenda and she's looking for any opportunity to bring up her agenda. And he's looking for any opportunity to dig his heels in and make sure she understands his agenda. What she's recognizing and working with me right now, care partners, is she's not fixing the problem yet. She's not correcting dad yet. What she needs to do is understand the emotion that's driving his behavior, driving his refusal to picking up and moving. Even though it sounds like a wonderful idea to you and to me and to her, it doesn't sound like a great idea to someone who has a dementia-affected brain, right? So part of what she's learning to do is how to recognize the emotion behind his agenda. So a conversation like that can look like, she's on the call with dad and he mentions that he had another fall. The old version, the old agenda would be to say, see dad, oh my gosh, that could have been so horrible for you. You could have ended up in the hospital. You need to be here with me so I can help you, etc., etc. right? The old agenda is ignoring dad's experience. Even though it's well-intended, you want to help your dad, it's still ignoring his experience. He will not come over to your side if he does not feel heard and supported by you. So the new conversation is going to go something like this, where we're recognizing dad's emotion and his experience. Dad says he fell down a couple of stairs. Oh my gosh, Dad, that must have been so scary for you. Notice what we're doing there? That's an emotion. That must have been so scary for you. That must have been so painful for you. Or what happened? Right? We can even just lead with that. What happened? And have him say, oh, I was walking downstairs. I tripped over my foot. I tripped over a couple of stairs. I took a tumble. Oh my gosh, that must have been so scary. What happened next? We are recognizing his emotional experience, and we are going to keep doing that a bunch of times, because when someone feels seen and heard by you, then they are going to trust you. And that's what you're building right now. You are building trust with him. If this framework already feels helpful to your care partners, then please go ahead and like and subscribe. This allows you to send this to other care partners who are equally struggling just like you. And let's keep the conversation going. Let's say that dad also says part of the reason he doesn't want to move is because he loves going to the bodega on the corner. He has his friends here, right? The old version, the old agenda pushing would be, but you can make friends here. But Dad, your friends aren't helping you. But Dad, your friends are older than you. They can't help you if you fall, right? You are reasoning and explaining and pushing your agenda, and that's going to fall flat. So the new conversation can be, tell me more about that. It would be lonely to come out here. I am recognizing the emotion, care partners. What he is saying to you is, I have my friends here. Even if he doesn't see them, I bet you he doesn't even see most of them. But he's saying in his mind, that's important to him. So you're just going to recognize that emotion and you're going to reflect that to him. It sounds like you think you'd be lonely out here. You'd feel lonely out here? Is that what you're saying, Dad? Okay, so that's how you recognize the emotion. And we actually did another step there as well, which is reflecting it back to them. So on to the second R. R number 2, which is reflect what you hear and see. Reflection sounds something like this. That seems really upsetting. That seems really scary. Wow, that must have been so painful for you. I could see why that feels frustrating. I could see why you would feel lonely. You're not agreeing with incorrect beliefs. You're just asking, can I see their point of view? And then when you can, you reflect it back to them. Whether you agree with it or not, care partners, you're just showing their nervous system that I see you, I hear you. A bit of a disclaimer. This is around the time that some caregivers think, I'm just giving in then, Dr. Sinclair. No, you are not giving in. You are building safety and trust. And when your person with dementia feels that emotional safety and trust from you, that is when they are going to be more apt to listening to what you have to say and even coming to you and asking you for advice. And I do want for you to challenge that thought of giving in. When we have that thought of giving in, there's an underlying theme there of I'm losing. Is that the way you want to go into a conversation with your person with dementia, that someone's going to be a winner or a loser? If that's the case, then that's why you're butting heads. No one should feel like they're losing or winning in a conversation that's a partnership. There should be a recognition of each other's emotions and a reflection. And that's what you're doing here when someone is so resistant to you. I want for you to start viewing that resistance as a sign of fear, confusion, and deep emotions that they're struggling to communicate with you until you start actually listening for it. And this aligns well with our number 3, reassure safety and support. So you've recognized the emotion, you reflected what you saw, and you did that multiple times. Now you're going to reassure them. Thank you so much, Dad, for sharing all of that with me. It helps me to understand your experience. I just want you to know I'm here to support you. I'm always here to help, and we'll move at the pace that feels comfortable for you. By going through these steps, it may appear that it's going to be a longer process, but what data actually shows us is that your person with dementia partners with you faster because they feel supported by you. They feel like you get them, like you saw them, like you really understood the challenges. And when you reassure and say, I'm here to help you, let's do this together, we'll figure out plans together, what feels right for you. When you reassure in that way, they are going to follow along with you. Our number 4, redirect without resistance. This is the last step, care partners. Unfortunately, for caregivers who aren't trained, they lead with this. Redirecting someone means removing them from an activity, a task, or a conversation. And as I mentioned, a lot of care partners unfortunately lead with this, and this is what escalates the fight. Because when you lead with redirection, it often feels as though you're being dismissed. So let's say that your person with dementia is having an upsetting day. They have misplaced the remote control again, and you lead with redirection. Oh, come on, let's go for a walk. Right? We haven't talked about the remote. We haven't talked about the emotion around losing the remote. We haven't reassured them at all that they're going to be okay, that we're here to help. We're just saying, let's go for a walk. Right? They're going to probably, have some choice words for you. I don't want to go for a walk. What are you talking about? I'm looking for the remote control. Right? They are sticking with their agenda because you haven't gone through all the other steps. So redirection is a very important strategy, but you got to know when to do it, and you have to do all of the other steps first. So again, a disclaimer here, care partners, is when you skip the first 3 R's and go right to redirection, it feels like a dismissal. But when you don't skip the first 3 R's, then redirection actually feels like a help. And what that can look like, and the example about dad moving, is you've talked to dad for a while, you've understood his emotions, you've reflected it back to him, you've said things like, we'll do this together, we'll come up with solutions that feel right for you. And then this is how you could redirect a little bit, which is saying, how about we talk about a couple of ideas? I have some ideas, but again, we don't have to do anything until your timeline. And then he can say, sure, let me hear what you have to say. Always ask for permission first, care partners. And then you give a couple of ideas, only a couple of ideas. We don't want to overwhelm the dementia affected brain. And then we just leave it like that and say something like, yeah, so those are my 2 ideas, Dad. But again, we're going to go at your pace and what you feel best. How's so-and-so doing today? Right? You've planted that seed, you've left that to be the last thing, and now you're asking about how's so-and-so today, okay? So those are the 4 simple steps to making your conversations with your person with dementia go a lot smoother. I know that was a lot of information that I gave to you. Please feel free to watch this video over again, take notes, and just practice 1 step at a time. You could just practice recognizing the emotion and doing that for a few weeks before moving on to the next step, and then doing that for a few more weeks before moving on to the 3rd step. Again, you can go at your pace, but just remember to follow the sequence, because that's the order the dementia brain needs. If this was all helpful to you, care partners, and you're recognizing you need a little bit more scaffolding with these skills, then why don't you go ahead and book a call with me down below to learn more about the Confident Caregiver Academy. And for those of you who want to learn even more skills, then go ahead and check out the next video. I'll see you over there. Bye.